Hey everybody, welcome back to Talking Points. I'm Fred Willis, and my very special guest is a very special man with a huge heart, Elijah's heart even. Papa Joe Bradford and his wife Denise are working to raise awareness about desperate situations and to inspire a great movement of love in action. We live in a world plagued by inaction, but it's refreshing to see his work and him and his wife work so diligently to inspire others in this way. You may have heard of Papa Joe by the movie Unconditional. I know you know the lead actor in that movie, Michael Ealy. You know those eyes. You haven't forgotten those since you saw him in those rom-coms from the early 2000s. But Unconditional tells his life story. He has such an inspirational journey that's impacting lives in Nashville, Tennessee, and beyond. Really, is reaching all over the world. He's here to talk about that and a brand new book talking about love and to inspire us to love. Love, love, love. I am so thrilled to have him on. In fact, I love him already. Help me welcome to the show, Papa Joe Bradford.
It
Welcome
is
to
great
the show.
to be here. Mhm.
Yeah, I'm so glad you could be here as well. And so, what I want to do is, I want to give you an opportunity to just tell us a little bit about Papa Joe, who Papa Joe is, and what you do.
Well, my wife and I have been running a nonprofit in Nashville, Tennessee. And I've traveled the country, but we have the largest door-to-door hunger relief program in Nashville, Tennessee. We feed anywhere from 5 to 10,000 people within a 2-month period. And we started out with music. We have a music program, our family of musicians, and a literacy program. But my heart is really just training and teaching people about traits of love to stop the violence, to unite, to become one, and just have a very peaceful place in this country, in this world.
Okay, okay. And so I'm gonna I won't name everything, but you kind of hit on the literacy, the music, and the door to door delivery of trying to not end food insecurity, because we know that's a long term goal here, but you are impacting those who are suffering from food insecurity. So tell us a little more about that. I'm going to go ahead
I
and
sure
give you
will.
to be braggadocious. Do that.
Well, the name of our program, our hunger relief program, is called the Walk of Love. And we actually lived in an inner city community about 16, 17 years ago. When we first moved in there, a deaf girl came to our front door. My wife gave her a piece of candy. We found out there were 50 children living on the street, because what happens when you give one child a piece of candy, Fred? They all just come flooding in. Well,
Yeah.
we saw these kids were hungry. We made a choir out of the children, actually, but we also saw that they were hungry. Well, my wife had this crazy idea. Let's take flyers over 300 home community and see who's hungry. And we started a program called the Walk of Love doing that. And we started getting resources from churches, businesses, and it just grew to where we would get anywhere from 50 to 100 volunteers and we touch entire communities. We give food to everyone in the community. And when I say everyone, we're in the largest inner city community in the state of Tennessee. It's over 800 homes, over 3,000 people, and we take food to every door, guys. So that's kind of what the Walk of Love is about.
Wow. So tell me about Elijah's heart.
Okay. Elijah's heart, um, we actually got that name from the last two verses in the Old Testament, which has to do with turning the hearts of the fathers to the children and the children to the fathers. Fatherlessness, Fred, is behind a lot of the challenges that we have in America, across the world, actually. And so we took on that name to show the heart of God in serving the children, and not just the children, the parents also, the homeless. And so it's just with that name, just the word heart just stands out,
Yeah.
because love is the mission on everything we do, man.
Oh, I love that. Love is the mission of everything they do. That is wonderful. And Papa Joe, I'm just going to tell the people a little bit about what I read about you. Is that there was a question that kind of thrust you into this level of service. And it was a question that it was a really audacious question, but you had the right answer. And if I read this right, before you could even answer that question, there was another child asking the same question. The question was, "Will you
Yeah.
be my daddy?" And you talked about fatherlessness and how it impacts most. It has rippling effects. And so one of those rippling effects is food insecurity. And so you mentioned those last two verses of the Old Testament where Malachi is saying that, talking about turning the hearts of the fathers to the children, the hearts of the children to the father. You are known as Papa Joe. So if you wouldn't mind, tell us how you became known around the world as Papa Joe.
Well, how I got that name initially, Fred, my nickname was Tiger Joe, believe it or not. And
Okay.
yeah, yeah, that was my initial nickname over 20 years ago. But my wife and I were training a choir. Like I said, we were doing music together first. We were training a choir of about 60 to 70 kids in the inner city. Well, a young lady, a girl came in, about 12 years old, and her face was swollen. So we prayed for the child, and the other kids were over eating lunch. Well, the
Mhm.
child's little sister comes to my left side and says, "Will you be my dad?" And
Wow.
yeah, I thought she was kidding and just playing with me, man. Well,
Yeah.
her best friend comes to my right side and says, "Will you be my dad?" Well,
Mm.
that set off a chain reaction. Before I knew it, there were 30 to 40 children, Fred, surrounding me saying, "Will you be my dad? Will you
Oh,
be my dad?"
wow.
Man, I started tearing up. I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. And so I believe that day God changed my name to Papa Joe.
All
And
right.
so people all over the world call me Papa Joe. My movie's in 121 countries, man.
Yeah.
So they call me that all over the world.
I love that. And I've got to ask, with you mentioned that movie. How did that even come about? Because I actually have that movie and I didn't open it. I have it. When I looked at the cover, I was like, I have this movie. I didn't watch it before the interview because I did want to ask you certain aspects of your life that I wanted you to tell me about. But how did that even come about that you have a feature film about your life?
Well, I'm going to tell you, it's rare to have something like that. This guy spent $4 million to do a
Wow.
movie about my story. I wasn't always Papa Joe, like I told you, it was Tiger Joe earlier. I was one of the original computer hackers in the early '80s. Fred, I was an honor student at UT in Knoxville, and about to graduate. So by day, I'm all American guy, but by night, I'm one of the original computer hackers.
Yeah.
And so this guy, they dared me to hack into a bank, and I actually did it, and it got me into it got me into a lot of trouble,
Yeah.
and yeah, but I had to do some time in prison. Uh, some crazy stuff happened. I'm not gonna give away the movie, but when I got out, when my wife ended up, I lost both my kidneys. I'll tell you that. I was on the
Oh
machine.
wow.
Yeah, I was on the machine 9 hours a day, and so we had to move into the inner city community. And so when we did and started our program, an executive producer started serving in our nonprofit. And
Mm,
he just came to me, and we were at a restaurant, a Five Guys restaurant. He said, "Papa Joe, I believe the Lord told me to make a movie about your story."
wow.
uh, I thought it was going. I thought it was crazy because he didn't know my story. I didn't want my story to get out, and the bad stuff. And so, man, he put the bad stuff in there too. And so, and it's good because it shows transformation. But that's
Yeah.
how it happened. He just spent that money, made the movie, and God has blessed it, man.
Wow, that is incredible. And to think I had the movie the whole time. That I think is just incredible when I think about it. And again, talking about the whole story. You say he tells the whole story. He doesn't hold anything back. But he tells the good and bad. And so I really got to thank Papa Joe for taking this time for talking to me today because a man as busy as he is, time like this is time well spent, but it's not always it's not always feasible to take this much time away from work. So one more time, thank you, Papa Joe, for being here. I'm not done, but I did want to get that thanks out for
Well, the
taking.
honor's mine, Fred. The honor's mine, my brother.
God bless you, sir. Now you have written a book. You've taken this walk of love, and you have taken it a step further. You're asking us to answer the question: love or war? You're telling us to choose love, and you're showing us strategies that overcome life's struggles. Now, I want you to tell me about the book, but I'm going to put you on the spot and ask you. I may have to ask you again after you tell us about the book. But I was reading that you have 7 scenarios in there, and out of those 7
Yes.
scenarios, you show us how people responded with compassion. So first, I want you to tell us about the book, and then of those 7 scenarios that you share, I want to know which one is your favorite. I'm putting you on the spot.
Okay. That's fine.
All right.
Yeah, for years we've been serving people. Like I said, everything we do is centered around love. The Walk of Love, Unconditional is the name of the movie. And
Mm-hmm.
so after serving so many people in a practical way, because like I said, we serve thousands with food and different things,
Mm-hmm.
uh, people's hearts have to be transformed.
Yes.
We're in the city community. We straight up in the projects, man.
Yeah.
And people's hearts need to be transformed everywhere. The
Yeah.
violence, and so what I've learned, I'm a biblical teacher. I've been a biblical teacher for 20 years,
Okay.
and got to get the word in people. And
Yes.
so that's what gives people freedom. And so there are 7 traits of love that
Mm-hmm.
I believe that the Lord pointed out to me in the Word that will transform your heart. And
Mm-hmm.
so I give an analogy using doors. Do you remember there was a game show years ago, and you might be too young to know about it. It's called Let's Make a Deal.
Oh yeah, it's one of my favorite shows from back in the day. Yeah.
Yeah, and you would be like 2 doors. Door
Yeah.
number one, door number two. You didn't
Yeah.
know what was behind it. One door might have a new car and a trip to Hawaii. The
Yeah.
next door might have a donkey with a saddle on it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Well, with my book, I actually show people what is the difference between the love trait and the sin trait, and
Mm-hmm.
what are the consequences or blessings that you get when you choose one. And
Mm-hmm.
so, and if you want me to answer your question, the very first door analogy is humility versus pride.
Mm-hmm.
The second one, I just getting into 2 right now, is purity versus harlotry or lust. Okay, and to
Okay.
train people about the good part, the blessing part, the love trait, and the sin, and show you how you can practice the love trait. And so, really, my favorite is the first one,
Mm-hmm.
because if a person can humble themselves, how often do people say thank you, or can I serve you?
Yeah.
Uh, Yes. I just give someone a hug. I know it's COVID time, but put your mask on, give somebody a hug. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so humility gives us the door of grace to overcome everything else. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's the thing. Without pride, you're not going to get angry at people and all this violence. If you humble yourself and serve each other, it will
Right.
change the face of this earth, Fred.
Mm. Well,
I
that's
didn't mean to preach, man. I didn't mean to preach, but I'm just telling you. Yeah, that's how I feel about it, my brother.
listen. This is a preachable platform.
All
Dive
right.
right on in. Dive right on in. We love this kind of stuff here. Again, I love your story, and so this right here, because I'm so many times we see what's presented, but we don't always get to hear what's behind it. And so, Papa Joe, what you're telling me right there answered all the questions that I have about what's behind this entire movement. Because there are
Yes.
people who do great things. They do wonderful things, relief, poverty relief, help food insecurity. They have charitable programs. They do things for children, literacy programs, and they even love. They love in to a certain degree, but they don't have God's love behind it.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
not the driving force behind what they do. And so I'm just encouraged to know that, because as I was preparing for this, I said, well, I wonder if it'll be okay if I ask, the God question. That's always something that I'm leery about with some of my guests. You know, uh,
Not with me, brother.
yeah, because some people are like, yeah, we do good. And you know this as a Bible teacher. People do good things, but they don't do God things. Or they do good things, but they're not godly. And so it's hard to pull them into that space. But I think I was okay when I was prowling around on your site. I was learning more about Elijah's Heart and the programs you offered. And I saw that one of your vocal instructors is a professor at Belmont University.
Yeah.
So I said, "Oh, at Belmont," I said they must be believers if people on their staff are at Belmont, you know. And so I really wanted to tap in to that because the things you do, I know is probably not possible without God pushing you. I'm just
Oh
going out.
gosh, I'm a gospel saxophonist, man. We're gospel musicians. My wife and I, we actually got together 31 years ago,
Wow.
being as musicians playing for churches, man. So yeah,
Oh,
everything we do is about Jesus. So yeah, I'm not ashamed of that at all, my
I,
friend.
I
Oh,
love it. I
yeah,
love it. It's so it's so hard to. I'm not gonna say it's so hard, but sometimes because I talk to people of all walks of life,
right.
all walks of faith, and sometimes the conversation gets so good, and I'm like, this is a Jesus moment right here, and and
Uh,
sometimes you know where it needs to go, and it's like I just need clearance for takeoff. But yeah, Papa Joe, I am inspired today by your story, your new book. Tell us where we can get your book.
Yeah, to learn more about how to get the book, you can get it on Amazon. But if you go to papajoe.org, papajoe.org, they can get all the information about me that you want, guys. If anybody wants to invite me out, I come out. I've traveled the country and
Hmm.
on speaking engagements. I've raised probably several $1 million for other organizations, Fred, because people use me as a mascot. Basically, they show my movie to a crowd of people. They have me come up, and their tears start flowing, and they start, giving
Yeah,
donations.
yeah,
so,
good.
but so yeah, papajoe.org. That'll show you how to, get out to the movie, and also how to get the book.
I
But the
love it.
movie, you can you can see the movie for free if they
Oh,
go on YouTube and just search for Unconditional Papa Joe. I've got a copy up that's free. It's on the Walmart app, different apps, but look, you can see it for free on YouTube, man.
wow. Okay. And so, Papa Joe, I wanted. Oh, and Elijah's heart. How can we connect with every? Tell us how to connect with everything you do, because I'm going to ask you a big question as we close this.
Yeah, yeah. Elijah's Heart is ElijahsHeart.com.
Mhm.
Yeah. From papajoe.org, it'll lead you to all of those places,
Oh, okay.
Fred.
Okay.
hmm
Cool stuff. So now I got to ask you this question: what is
Okay.
considering all of your life's work, considering your life's journey? What would you say to a person who feels called to similar work to what you're doing? And I'm sure as you did this, you were just teaching kids in the choir, and the Papa Joe thing came from that, right? So there was an evolution to what you were doing.
Right, right.
But how would you encourage somebody who may be struggling with maybe even answering the call to starting something, maybe a youth choir, or starting something where they are, but they don't know either how to do it, or they're not sure if they can do it, if they're the right person to do it, or even if they want to do it? How would you encourage their hearts?
Well, one of my chapters in the book, Fred, is faith versus unbelief.
Hmm.
And yeah, and so you just have to take a step in faith. God has gifted everybody. Everybody has a special gift or more. And
Hmm.
like for music, if someone wanted to start a choir, we started an inner city choir and ended up picking up kids from 7 in inner city communities every Saturday. And the kids sang all over the place. So
Yeah,
it's really just taking a step of faith, but get help. Somebody
mm,
has succeeded in what you want to do already.
yeah,
And so do some research and get some help. You don't have to reinvent the wheel in everything you do. And
yeah.
find a great way to do it, and God can, spawn off and give you creativity once you get going.
Ooh, oh, I love that. The creativity comes once you get going.
That's right.
Wow, Papa Joe, you are amazing. You have this fatherly aura about you as you father the Lord's children here on earth, even those who are battling fatherlessness and absenteeism. And you have shared some gems and nuggets today that I'm taking with me, especially that last part. The creativity comes after you start. I think that holds us up sometimes. Is
Yes.
we want to be Papa Joe, but we're staring at a blank canvas. We don't know how to get to the glorified situation because we're staring at a blank canvas. We don't know how to get going. Wow.
And it's okay to mess up, Fred.
It's
You know,
okay
you
to,
can learn from hindsight lessons, and people need to know that. You
yeah.
know, can I throw this in?
Yes,
I'm
sir.
not just Papa Joe to everybody else. We have 8 children. We have 8 biological children and 9 grandchildren, Fred. Yeah. After the second child, I had a transplant. The doctor said we weren't going to have any more babies. I was going to be sterile. But
Yeah.
God didn't get that memo. We had 6 more kids, man. And so you got to have faith when you have a bunch of kids like that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Wow. So, okay, man, I really don't want to extend this, but I got to ask you. You said it's okay to mess up. Do you have any learning opportunities? I'll call those learning opportunities or mistakes that you made that have kind of propelled you forward that you learned from that you can share.
Well, yeah. I think the biggest thing is not to be afraid to make a mistake, because it's just natural to make some mistakes. And like I said, it's a hindsight lesson, but I make plenty of mistakes along the way. Uh, I believe that we were going to be brought into movies some kind of way, and
Mm-hmm.
I actually tried to build a movie theater, a Christian movie theater, and
Okay.
I failed terribly. Well, within 2 months, is when the guy came up to me and said, "Look, I want to make a movie about you." And so,
Wow.
and so yeah, it's like, okay, God didn't want me to make a theater. No, He wanted
Just
to make a movie to spread
want
the
to
word
put
of
you in
love.
theaters. Oh man. Wow. That is so, and that just talks about faith because you got to trust God. You know, you got to trust Him all the way. He didn't want you to make a theater; He wanted to put you in theaters.
Exactly.
Woo! Papa Joe, we can't preach. We can't preach. We'll be here all afternoon just going back and forth. Cause I feel it already. You trying to draw out the preacher in me now. I'm supposed to be interviewing you, but I done messed around and got happy in my soul. I'm keeping it calm here for the sake of this interview. But wow.
I
Wow.
love the name. I love the name of your show. Yeah, that really caught my attention, Fred. I appreciate that, man.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. I am so honored today to have had this opportunity to talk with Papa Joe. I told y'all I had the movie already. It's in there. I got that film with a few other faith feature films, and I just never got around to sitting around doing it. But guess what I'm going to do today? I'm going to watch Unconditional. And so
All right, my brother.
yes, sir. I want those of you watching, those of you listening, I want you to do the same. Support Papa Joe and everything he does. I'm getting your new book as well. And I want to read it because there's some things that I feel in my own personal life that the Lord will do for me that I'm going to use Papa Joe as my inspiration to do. Especially those things about food insecurity in my city, actually in my neighborhood that I wanted to do, and I wasn't sure how to go about doing it. So as you said, I don't have to reinvent the wheel. What I'm going to do, I'm going to read this book, and I'm going to see how the Lord leads me to do that right here in Fort Worth, Texas. Papa Joe, thank you so much. He's a worldwide innovator, speaker, author, encourager, father. Thank you so much for your time today. I'm going to give you the last word as we close out this interview.
Yeah, I just want to say this to everybody. To be a great lover, for the Lord, for Christ, you got to be able to deal with people with great weaknesses. And so I just want to leave that with you. That's a test and a sign of your love. If you can deal with other people with great weaknesses, and that will make you a servant, and the servant is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. I'm so glad that you allowed me to be on this show, Fred. God bless all of you guys.
Thank you so much, Papa Joe. And I will be in touch when I have this ready. I'll send it, and I'll make sure that you have a copy.
Okay, great.
Share, and thank you. You have blessed me today. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Fred, and God bless. Reach out to me anytime you want to, man.
I sure will. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Bye bye.